Hey everyone, it's Diana the Doll Fairy. You might not recognize me because you're seeing my actual face instead of my doll. Today is a very special episode. I wanted to come here in person, in person, so that I could get to know you guys a little bit better, or well, I guess you guys can get to know me a little bit better. So, you may have noticed that I've been a little bit MIA for the last month or so. I haven't really made any new videos and haven't been posting much on Instagram. I've been like extremely busy and some crazy life stuff was going on, but I'm very excited to kind of reinvigorate this channel over this summer, and I thought I'd kick that off with this very special Q&A video. You guys submitted your questions to me on my last YouTube video and on Instagram, so I'm really excited to answer some of your questions. And also, if you hear any questions that you think are particularly interesting and you want to share your answer to that question with me, go ahead and post a comment down below and let me know, what your answers to all these questions are, because I'd like to get to know you guys better as well. The first question was asked by Pfeiffer Oriel. By the way, disclaimer, I'm sorry if I mispronounce people's names. I'm sure I'm going to. She asked, she asked, is your name Diana or Delilah? This is a great question, and that's why I wanted to start off the video with that question. If you've been watching my videos for a long time, you might know that I used to open up my videos with, hey guys, it's Delilah, and then I switched over to, hey everyone, it's Diana, and that could be kind of confusing. The reason why I did that was because I used to use Delilah as my online name. My name is actually Diana. Delilah sounds sort of similar. It starts with a D and has 3 syllables. But I used that sort of as my online name. I didn't want to use my real name. But then when I rebranded my channel as The Doll Fairy and decided to really sort of commit to it, I decided that I wanted to use my real name and that I wanted to sort of own it. Like, this is my thing, this is my channel, this is my artwork, this is what I do. I don't need to pretend that I'm somebody else when I'm doing it. Question number 2 is from Isa Montessa. Do you have a job besides doll customizing, and how do you balance both? I do have a job besides doll customizing. It just changed, however. I was an English teacher for a few years, so if anybody needs me to proofread the essays for them, don't ask me because I don't want to do it. I wasn't totally happy as a teacher, and the main thing I really want to do with my life is to create things. And one really important goal that I have is to write novels. I've always wanted to do that. I've been working on a novel forever, but it just never gets done. So anyway, I decided to just take the leap, take the plunge, and I actually quit teaching, for now anyway, to pursue my dreams of becoming an author. And then my second job, of course, is the Doll Fairy, and like I said, I'm gonna hopefully have a lot more time now to work on that. Lynx Slays 1. Why do you not show your face? Well, I'm showing my face now, so I thought I'd throw that in there. I was just kind of shy before, and now I'm like, no, I'm gonna own it. Here I am, it's me. Okay, next question. From Addie Bo. Which doll artist did you see first? Which video was it that you saw and your eyes just lit up with wonder and amazement to the point where you thought, I want to do that? Okay, I thought this was a great question, worded very nicely too. A lot of people also asked, how did you get into doll customizing? And this is all sort of part of that story, so I will kind of tell the story of how I got into doll customizing. I've always loved dolls since I was a kid. When I was like 13 or 14, I was like, oh, this is weird, I shouldn't get dolls anymore, that's not normal. Other people don't buy dolls when they're 13 or 14. But I sort of did secretly anyway. And so my love for dolls has just gone on and on. When I became an adult, and I was in college, or like I started working, I had my own money, I was like, you know what, like dolls make me happy, I'm just gonna buy them. But around the time when Frozen came out and I was really obsessed with Frozen, I became really interested in the thought of having Frozen dolls that didn't already exist. Like, I had all the Frozen dolls that existed, and I thought it would be so cool to have dolls of like Anna and Elsa's parents, the King and Queen of Arendelle, because I love their design, and I thought it would just be a really cool like designer set to make. And so that was maybe like 4 or 5 years ago maybe, that I decided to go for that. I just tried. I was a little bit scared. I didn't really repaint them at first. I kind of used existing dolls. But I got really excited about making the clothes, and it was just really rewarding to see a final product. And that was what really got the ball rolling on the doll customization. I started seeing more YouTubers doing it. At first there weren't many YouTubers doing it, and then as there were more of them, I was like, this is really cool. I'm gonna try rerouting, I'm gonna try repainting. And I eventually, you know, just kept doing it till it became more and more fun, and then I thought I'll make a YouTube channel like my favorite YouTubers. As for, you know, who inspires you, a lot of people asked who inspires you. Hexian actually asked me, who inspired your style and aesthetic? I think it's sort of ironic that he asked me this question because he's definitely one of my inspirations, especially in terms of design, like fashion design. I absolutely love all of his My Little Pony customs, like especially Fluttershy is my fave. And I think it's no secret at this point that one of my major inspirations is Dollightful. I was into doll customizing, like starting it before I even started to watch her videos, and then when I was introduced to her channel, this was still at the start of her channel, but I remember seeing like her Heartstruck Cupid repaint and just being in love with her style, and like she's got a great personality. This is no news to anybody, I'm sure you all know that already, but I was really like kind of in love with her channel and her style and everything, and so I think that she's been a big influence on me as well. Alexandra Gregory 1 asked, what was your first custom? The first repaint that I ever did, this is an Aurora doll that I repainted. This was my first ever full repaint, like removed all of her face paint and redid it. She's not terrible looking, she's just not really that great looking either. But like I kind of can't get rid of her or just wipe her face because she's my first full repaint that I ever did, so it's kind of cool to keep her. Oh, that was done without a sealant, by the way. That was like before I knew about sealants. This is just my boring life. Asked, what other hobbies do you have? So I mentioned writing. I like to write. I like to create characters. I like to sew, but you already knew that. I like to read. I don't read as much as I used to, but I'm trying to get back into it. I like to draw. I haven't been doing it as, like, I'm a little bit out of practice, I think, with drawing, but I really just like to try lots of different types of artwork. I used to like to make things with polymer clay. I used to like to sing too, but I wasn't that good at it, just like for fun. They also asked, do you listen or watch anything as you're painting? I usually listen to music, and sometimes I sing along with the music.
Walk away, I beg you on my knees to stay. Don't blame me, love made me crazy. If it doesn't, you ain't doing it right.
I listen to YouTube videos, stuff like that. Nightmare Muse asked, what is your least favorite part of customizing dolls? I don't know. Styling the hair, I don't really enjoy. I'm just not very good at it. And my absolute least favorite part is using sealants. I hate spraying Mr. Super Clear every time I like panic that I'm gonna like ruin my lungs or something, even though I'm using the mask. I hate using Mr. Super Clear. I hate waiting for the weather to be right for that. And I didn't really like using the Liquitex matte varnish either. Just sealants are just annoying. I just don't really like them. But my favorite part, I think somebody asked me what's my favorite part too. My favorite part would probably be designing the dolls, number one, and then number two, making their clothes. Mythical Sketches Dolls asked, what's your favorite part of doll making? Or your favorite part of making doll clothing? Okay, so making the clothing is like one of my favorite parts. My favorite part of making the clothing is, I think, designing it and then deciding how to construct it is kind of cool. It's sort of like a challenge. And I also enjoy actually sewing. I do a lot of my sewing by hand, although I'm trying to train myself to use the sewing machine. But I really like just taking a needle and thread and like putting it in fabric and pulling it through and then poking it back out and pulling it through. It's so simple, but I don't know, there's something really relaxing about that. Dollmeter asks, what is your favorite Monster High doll? That's a good question. I should have thought of the answer before I started filming this. I really like EC Dawn Dancer, if that's how you say her name. I don't have that doll though. Daisy Deddle asked, do you prefer Monster High or Ever After High? I actually prefer Ever After High. I like the normal skin tones that are, you know, not the fantasy skin tones. Little Scarecrow asked, where do you usually buy your dolls from? I've accumulated a lot just over the past couple of years. I used to, at the end of a work week when I was really stressed out, I would just go stop at Toys R Us and I'd pick out like 1 or 2 Ever After High dolls and just, you know, bring them home with me and open them up and put them on my shelf. And then, you know, later on I decided, okay, I'm gonna customize most of these. I also bought a few lots on eBay, which I've had like, you know, varying luck with. One batch smelled kind of smoky and now I have to like basically clean them off entirely if I want them to smell normal. So that's annoying. Banana Panda Dolls asked, what kind of watercolors do you use? I use Prismacolor watercolor pencils. My Little Descendants Lover asked, what doll is your mascot made out of? So my Mini-Me, the doll fairy, is made from an Epic Winter Blondie Locks doll. And I picked that one specifically because I wanted her smile. I knew that I wanted my doll fairy to smile. Beautiful Parallel asked, do you create art outside of doll customizing? And I mentioned that I like to write, so I consider that to be art. I like to draw, although I don't do that as much lately. And I like to do all sorts of other things too. My friend Delightfully asked, what is your favorite Disney movie and character? Okay, so this is like a great question. I'm so happy to answer this question. My favorite Disney movie, probably I'd have to say Beauty and the Beast, the original animated one. That's probably like my favorite Disney movie of all time, although more recently, favorites include, of course, Tangled and Frozen. So those are probably my favorite Disney movies, along with the live action Cinderella, because Cinderella is my favorite Disney character. She's my favorite Disney princess. She's my favorite because of who she is, because of her goodness. She's just so kind, and she's just a great inspiration for everybody, really, of what we should all strive to be like. You know, have courage and be kind. I think that's a beautiful thing. And my friend Delmotion asked, what are some of my favorite Pokemon? Some other people asked that as well. So I actually have some of my favorites here to show you. Probably my absolute favorite has to be Sylveon. These are my Sylveon plushies. I love Sylveon. You can expect I will probably make a Sylveon doll like fairly soon. Alolan Vulpix, one of my recent favorites. Classic favorite, probably Eevee. Love all the evolutions. Swablu, I also love Altaria. Dratini is one of my all-time favorites. There are just a lot. Into the Void 128 asked an interesting question. They asked, do you receive a lot of hateful comments about dolls working in this hobby? How do you handle the comments? This is a really interesting question. I don't usually receive a lot of hateful comments. When I did that big collaboration with Delightful and Dalmotion, I did receive some hateful comments just because more people watched it, I think. People kept telling me what they would have done, and this didn't make me feel bad about myself. It really just kind of made me feel annoyed because people were telling me, you should have done this and you should have done that. And it's like, well, okay, that's your idea for what it should be. Why don't you make it that way? You make an Yveltal doll that is, you know, up to your standards and exactly the way that you wanted. I made it the way that I wanted it to be. A lot of people wanted me to do body mods, and I just don't do body modifications. That's just not my thing. I did fashion instead, and I'm okay with that. Like, I like what I did. And I love getting constructive criticism from people who say, hey, maybe you could have tried this if you wanted to make it like this, right? I wanted to make her look angrier. You should try to add some shading below her eyebrows, whatever. Somebody said stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, that's good. That's constructive criticism. I think that's helpful. I get unhappy when people like tell me you should have done this or you should have done that. It's like, well, you do it then. Constructive criticism is great. Not constructive criticism is not. BT dubs, it is pronounced Yveltal. It is. Storycraft Studio asked, how do you rig your camera for doll work? This is something I've been experimenting with. Lately, I use these 2 OttLite lamps on either side of my workspace, and I have this little clippy thing that clips onto the table, and I put my phone into it and I can record from above, and it works out pretty well. Epilepsy asked, what advice do you have for people that are beginners? Be easy on yourself. That's my biggest advice, is don't think that you automatically have to be amazing. We're all still learning. Everybody's still learning. Everybody's at different levels. If you just started, it's gonna take you a while to get to a place where you can compare yourself to people who've been doing it for years, you know? So I constantly tell myself that, because when you compare yourself to others, ultimately there's always gonna be somebody better than you at something. So be easy on yourself, try different things, experiment with different methods, find what works for you. That's my advice. Fantasia Customs asked, what is your favorite color? My favorite color is turquoise. This is one of my many journals. This is pretty much my favorite color. Yeah. Oh, Art by K. McSpadden asked, what is your favorite Ever After High character? And my favorite Ever After High character is probably Cupid, number 1, and number 2 is Duchess Swan. Those are the ones with the coolest designs, the coolest personalities too. I think Duchess is so interesting because she's kind of nasty. Anna Mons 131 asked, who's your favorite Disney villain and why? My favorite Disney villain is 100% Maleficent. She is the coolest Disney villain. However, I must say I don't like the portrayal of her in the Maleficent movie, the live action movie, because I like Maleficent being evil for the sake of being evil. Like, that makes her cool and kind of creepy and elegant, scary. I don't like her being all nice. Danny Draws Things asks, is there a certain character you really want to make a custom of that you haven't yet? There are actually a lot of characters on my list of endless project ideas. One of them would probably be Hatsune Miku, the Vocaloid. I love Vocaloids, and I would probably like to make a doll of her someday. Also, Rey and Kylo Ren. I have plans from Star Wars, obviously. Reenie's Reveries asks, who is your favorite fictional character of all time? This is a very difficult question, but one of my absolute favorites would no doubt be Riku from Kingdom Hearts. If you've been following me for a while, you might already know that. I've mentioned it before, but Riku is like my absolute fave, like ever. Art Weasel Customs asked, do you draw concepts of what you want the doll to look like? I often do, and if I do, I usually include it in the video. Arizona 2000 asked, can we see you with your doll next to you? Which I think is kind of cute. Is not wearing her doll fairy outfit. She's wearing like actually this is kind of a wintry outfit. I don't know what I was thinking. Here she is. I don't know if she looks like me. I mean, I just got my hair cut and it's darker than this hair, but the essence of me is present within this doll. Thank you so much for watching. I thought this was really fun. Maybe I'm just narcissistic and I like to talk about myself. I don't know. I mean, that's a good possibility. Thank you again for your questions. There were some really great questions and I loved answering them. I hope that you feel like we've gotten to know each other a little bit better. Like I said, please comment below. Tell me a little bit about yourself. Please subscribe if you haven't, because I'd love to have you around. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you guys all again very soon. Bye!